Hey, what are you doing here? Well, I guess since I'm here, I'll talk to you about being an INTP. All right. If you're an INTP, you've probably had anxiety or depression at one point. But where did that come from? Why are we more prone to anxiety and depression than, say, our opposite, ESFJ? For starters, what is emotion in the first place? To answer that question, let's look at the book Anxious by Joseph Ledoux. According to Ledoux, there are two elements to fear as an example of emotion. If you give a pill that quiets the behavioral part of the brain, like in animals, for example, they will quit those fear behaviors. But if you give those same pills to a human, they will quit the fear-based behaviors, but they will feel anxious still. They will still feel fear. Okay, well, let's look at the other side of the coin. What happens if you give people a pill that takes away their anxiety and makes them feel better? Surprise! It improves how they feel, but their behavioral health does not change. So they still act fearful, but they don't feel fearful. Okay, so what does this mean? It means that you have different parts of the brain that handle different elements of emotion. You have the behavioral component, which is how you act, and then you have the cognitive component, as in what's held in your consciousness or your working memory, which is what you actually feel. So your emotions are actually in your head. Emotions only exist in our minds. So if emotions are held in our mind, that means that the more prone we are to being analytical and the more prone we are to thinking, the easier it is to get into a state of anxiety or a state of fear. Because emotions, since it's what you hold in your mind, if you are fearing something that's going to happen, you're recreating an event in your mind, you are imagining an event in your mind, and you are creating that emotion in your mind. And in the same way, you can create happiness in your mind, you can create joy, you can create excitement, you can create curiosity, and so on. Now let's take a look at Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman. The general premise of the book is that we have what's called the System 1, which is our intuitive, fast thinking system, and then we have System 2, which is our slower, more rational, deliberate system. And along these lines, he talks about cognitive strain versus cognitive ease. Cognitive strain being tied to System 2, and cognitive ease being tied to System 1. System 1 meaning you're just going with the flow of yourself. System 2 meaning is you're stopping to think about what's happening. You're being analytical. Now, if you look at my last video, you'll notice that I talk about how personality types are just your tendency to fall into different brain states. Some people are prone to spend more time in System 2, for example, and other people are more prone to just go with the flow of themselves. In the case of INTPs, with introverted thinking and other types that have introverted thinking, we tend to fall into System 2 more often. We tend to get analytical more often. Is it better to spend more time in System 2 or System 1? Well, in Kahneman's book, he has this chart of cognitive ease versus cognitive strain. You tend to stay in System 1 or be in cognitive ease if you have repeated experience with something. So the first time you do something, you will tend to think about it logically and try to understand. You've had this experience when you first learn to drive, you have to pay attention to everything. Having a clear display tends to put you in System 1, so the easier it is to understand something, the less you will tend to think about it. So watch out. If things seem too good to be true, they may actually be too good to be true. If you are primed for an idea, so if I say, will you pay $1,500 for this hotel room? Even if it's not obviously a $1,500 hotel room, maybe it looks like a $500 hotel room, you'll be likely to guess higher when I ask you the actual value than if I had not asked that question in the first place. If you are in a good mood, this is key here. If you are in a good mood, you will tend to be in a state of ease or System 1 more often. And what is the opposite of a good mood? Perhaps anxiety, perhaps depression. Ding, ding, ding. The more often you're in System 2, the more likely you are to get anxious or depressed if you don't know how to handle your emotions. The answer is it's not necessarily better to be in a state of strain or in a state of ease all of the time. Sometimes it's more effective to be in a state of strain when you're doing something that's difficult, and whenever you're in a state of ease, you're going to be better at things that require you to just flow naturally, like small talk and being social with people. INTPs are known to be kind of isolated because they don't like small talk a lot of the time. This is why we like to think about things. We don't like to just go with the flow. Now, what do you actually do about it? Well, luckily, I've already recorded videos. 3 tips for INTPs, how to deal with anxiety. Those 2 videos already talk about what you should be doing, which is read a lot of books and train yourself to be aware of the different states of consciousness and when it's appropriate to be in which state of consciousness. And that's really it. So it's just go out there, take action, learn when it's not necessary to be in deep state of thought. A lot of times we tend to be in deep thought too much. So it's learning to be balanced. Learning to be balanced. All right, so that is it. I've been trying out a more authoritative style lately, just sort of delivering information. Whereas in the past, I used to do more of a talk about myself, explain my experiences. So if you'd like me to do that, please let me know in the comments. I don't know what you guys like or what is effective for you, because I've spent so much time learning this stuff and I just want to share it with you guys. I want to help you guys out. All right. And I'm actually working on a video on states of consciousness right now. It's kind of hard because it's a more in-depth video and I want to explain it properly so that you don't get all lost when I'm explaining it. All right. So like if you'd like it, dislike if you don't, and I will catch you next time.